3 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Lots to get to on today's program. The Jim Schlossnagle saga continues. Chris Del Conte saying, I got up at 5 in the morning and waited next to a cemetery in College Station before I went to Schloss's house to offer him the job.
Supposed to be some symbolism there, I'm detecting.
I don't know.
There's some literary themes in that.
I'm just having a real hard time believing that this came out of nowhere. And by really having a hard time believing it,
You ain't?
BS.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't believe you. You know?
Never will.
Yeah. Isn't that a Ron Burgundy meme these days? I don't believe
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Never will.
Yeah, I won't.
luck
I mean,
convincing me.
and that's what's sad for when some things like that happen to people. Is like, maybe like 1 out of 10 times somebody's probably telling the truth, but the circumstantial evidence is so damning against you that I'm just like, well, I can't. It can't ever be proven, and I don't believe you. And in this case, I do not at all. They kind of gave it away when they talked about how close they were. But this does not happen that fast. It just plain doesn't. And to take the whole staff, you tell the whole staff on Tuesday morning, hey, boys, guess what? We're all moving to Austin. Tell your families.
You got a mouse in your pocket, Jim? What do you mean we?
But we'll have some more on that in just a little bit, and who potentially A&M could be going after. I did watch this afternoon. Our buddies at D1 they did their final season podcast today, and amongst the things they discussed were the potential candidates. And I think some of the biggest names. Tony Vitello's off the board at A&M. Beyond that, I'm not saying everybody is wide open. Like, Dave Van Horn's not going there, and Kevin O'Sullivan's not going there. Although
guys who've been at those schools for like a decade plus.
I've seen some people say and try to get Sully. I don't know. There's a part of me that says you could if he really wanted a change, but I don't know if he does. I don't know. Again, he just had Florida in the World Series for the 9th time in his career. I don't know if he's looking for that.
But he's got a new stadium.
And I did. They were talking more about it. Tennessee is going to spend $100 million on baseball stadium improvements.
Is that a lot of money?
It is. it is.
For those not good with numbers, Jay, is that a lot?
I got to go back and remember and adjust for inflation how much it cost to build from scratch Founders Park, which was at the time Carolina Stadium. But that's a lot of money. And you've already got something. But now, I imagine this is going to be in part to add capacity, allow more folks from Eastern Tennessee to come hang out at the ballpark and cheer on Tony and the kids. I still hold on to the belief that Tony Vitello is going to be the highest paid coach in college baseball by the end of the week. We'll see. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, or maybe he's good with not being. Maybe he's good with being top 3. I don't know, but I do still believe we're going to have now. I readjusted this week. We're going to now have 5 $2 million coaches in the a minimum of 5 $2 million coaches in the Southeastern Conference going into the new school year. In baseball,
probably at least $3 million.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Because it's not official, and you kind of got to take everything you read with a grain of salt.
Yep.
But there is potential for the Schlossnagle deal at Texas to be 3.
And I suppose you really better make it
million.
worth his while. Some people can say in these kind of things, well, how much money do you need? It's really not that. It's still a lot of money. And at his age, 53, you take a job like that now and you've got yourself 10 good years minimum probably, and you're going to set yourself up and your future generations up, and that's okay. And it's a job that he wanted. I don't think he goes anywhere else. I do. And guys, it sounds sometimes like we've been defending him, or at least I have. I won't speak for you, Elijah. I know you felt a little more roughly toward him even than I did, and I felt pretty rough about it. But we talked to Aaron Fitt of D1 Baseball yesterday, and Aaron had said how, the last time the job was open 8 years ago, Schloss told him he wanted it, but it was DeLoss Dodds back then who was in charge of the UT athletic department. And DeLoss was like, no, I'm not looking for you. I know all about you, and I don't want you. Chris Del Conte was still Schloss's boss at TCU at the time. So there's always been that relationship. By the way, speaking of $3 million, that's the buyout. And the regular buyout would have been whatever he was owed that year. He made $1.5 million this past season. That would have been the buyout if he had gone to any other school in America. It was double in his contract if he went to Texas. And Texas is going to pay the buyout.
They do not care.
They don't.
Money is not an issue.
No, it's not. And that's fine. I mean, again, not here to judge.
Second wealthiest athletic department on the planet.
If that's what you want to do, yeah, and that's just the athletic department, right? That's not the donor base. I mean, I don't know, but are the Texas and Texas A&M donor bases I don't know how you could really quantify that, but I would have to think that they may be the two wealthiest.
Certainly.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I look, and it wouldn't surprise me to learn that Texas Tech and Baylor were right behind them. It wouldn't. Again, it's all good. There's just a lot of real money in Texas, which, again, good for you, America.
Spend it.
Go get it.
You want to.
Yeah, it's your money.
Use it when you need it.
I hate those commercials.
You see what it's done to me?
They don't come on anymore.
Instinctively.
Or do they?
I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time.
I haven't seen those in a while.
I stream so much now that it's just like on ESPN Plus, it's just those stupid Geico commercials, which were funny the first time, but if you're watching a baseball game, they will pop up when
you see the same commercial and it's supposed to be funny 20 times, it's not as funny anymore. I have noticed with streaming clearly begins, and it's kind of creepy. But streaming seems to begin to learn more about you and tailor commercials to your wants, needs, desires, hopes relative to just random.
Personalized ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is creepy. Personalized ads.
No, it doesn't say hi, Jay. This is, it doesn't do that yet. But I do feel like it's over time. And somewhere along the way, I guess, it's like the other day, I was looking at something on my computer. I was actually looking up. I told you I got the pizza oven for my Solo stove.
Right.
I looked up something on the Solo Stove website about just some recipes and tips and things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next day, I'm watching a podcast on YouTube, and the Snoop Dogg Solo Stove commercial comes on, and it's been running because I watch a lot of podcasts on YouTube that I stream. I don't watch them on the computer, I watch them on TV.
Right.
And I'm like, I'd never seen one before, and now I see one every day. You're watching me, and I'm not sure I like that.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that.
And then nothing's going to seem like a coincidence anymore.
But I guess I got to get used to it.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a cannonball event here. I don't know if there's anything you can do to stop that thing from coming at you.
Yeah. Coming up today, in fact, in about a half hour or so, we'll have a quick hit with our very good friend Michael Haney. He is on his way to the first of two Nashville nights this week. He does them with Steel Hands. Many of you may not realize that Steel Hands, while based over in Casey, West Columbia, actually has a second location in Greensboro, as they say up that way. And so they've got a Nashville Nights Thursday edition up there, and he is currently on I-77 headed up to that triangle right now. He'll join us in a little bit. And then at 4:45 today, my very good friend Johnny Folsom, who actually works in our building for a different company, he and his family and many others that he works with have for years put on Salute from the Shore, which is a very cool 4th of July celebration. Many of you who have been along the coast over the last, 10-plus years have taken part simply by looking up in the sky around lunchtime and waving at pilots as they fly current and vintage military aircraft to say happy birthday, America. And it's actually really, really cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing that next week. I guess a week from today is the 4th. Yeah?
It is, yeah, next Thursday.
All right. So Johnny will tell us what kind of planes they got this year, how you can take part and support a terrific cause for our military and, again, for our nation's birthday. So good stuff. Looking forward to that. And we'll get into a few other things. Yesterday and earlier in the week, EA Sports, for the most part, was just like, oh, that's cool. But with a few fan bases, including the one in the upstate, they got really upset about like their toughest road environments in college football. And there was one flaw because people have gone and looked. Like they had A&M, Kyle Field, as the #1 toughest place to play for a road team. And then all kinds of people went and like, man, it's really not that hard here. Their record in conference play since they joined at home is actually not very good at all.
Appalachian State would beg to differ, too.
And a few others, yeah, maybe. And they don't maybe have the hardest out-of-conference home schedule down there. But, man, like Clemson had some, like, associate AD tweet out, like, how many false starts people had. I was like, yo, Clemson, you're 12th. It's a fine ranking. I even said to you on the air the other day, Elijah, I was like, look, if you want to move A&M down to 12 and bump everybody up, everybody ahead of you, Clemson, it's still a good – you're 11th. I mean, what do you – it's – so today –
tweeting out false start numbers.
I'm like, it's a video game. It's a video game.
Oh, man. That's funny.
But today they put out offensive and defensive rankings.
Or just offensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think they just put out the defense.
Oh, did
Check
they?
out. I think they might have just put out the defense, like within the last hour or so. I saw the offense, but I double check it, but I'm pretty sure they put out the defense too. Regardless, I saw that Clemson was like top 10 in the offensive rankings, right?
It's very high up.
And yet you were looking into some numbers that would suggest a much different story for them and for a few others. But I noticed that there were no, at least not yet, any athletic department employees that were putting out numbers to suggest anything. Like, no. Actually, we ranked in the 90s last year. We're not nearly as good as you think we are.
Number 10, Clemson.
Okay.
Top 10 offense. And they
and I'm having fun at your expense. I'm not picking on you. All right, there's a difference, but it's a video game.
Yes.
I can't. I know it's going to be a fun video game and generate lots of interests from people that love college football. But let me say once again, please, it's a video game. I'm not to take the time to research false start penalties by opponent in an effort to push back on a somewhat arbitrary computer-generated video game ranking.
Because if we really want to get into the numbers, too, with Clemson's offense, it's not a top 10 offense.
Oh, my goodness.
If that same associate AD would like to hit us up and we can discuss the merits of that one, we can do a deep dive.
Yeah, but you know what?
But then that's probably too much time.
Here's why I don't want to do that. You want to take one guess as to why I don't want to do that?
Because it's a video.
There you go. 803-404-6100 to be a part of today's program. How much is Jim Schlossnagle going to make? Who is A&M looking at? We'll get into those things for you. There are a few changes going on around college football. Our own Elijah Campbell has been going through the brand new, just released Phil Steele 2024 College Football Season Preview Magazine. Where does Carolina stack up amongst its SEC brethren? We'll get into all of those things today and a few other fun things ahead of a major holiday week. You are listening to the Postgame Show. 20 minutes after 3 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Appreciate you being with us. We'll get into some Phil Steele research. Best in the business, man.
Oh, it's awesome. Every year. About as detailed a preview as you're going to find in this business.
I've said there's so many things I love about it, and I know we'll get to in a second. I want to finish up on the Schlossnagle thing. I got one cut that Tyler has for us that I want to get to here. But, Phil's historical references, in other words, the trend is maybe my favorite feature of what he does, so that it's never just a snapshot of what this year might be. He really does an excellent job of letting you know how things stack up over like a 5-year running period, and it just puts things into much greater context.
And regression stuff. Like he goes into like real detail about some like really hardcore studies he's done over what makes a team improve one year to the next, what makes a team regress really hard from one year to the next. And there's just a whole lot of stuff like the yards per point. I had to make sure I've said that correctly. Yards per point that he basically was trying to, I guess a stat he came up with to determine if a team is kind of lucky offensively with field position is really good. And I will never do it justice by trying to explain it, but I highly recommend getting the magazine, and you'll never look at certain offenses the same way or look at predictive measures and numbers the same way. It's awesome. He is as good as it gets in terms of really explaining why some of the projections are the way they are. Like anybody can preview the season, but this guy does it about as well as anybody. He's the man.
Yeah, the only complaint I have isn't about Phil directly or the magazine. It's that Elijah let me know that he pre-ordered his via the United States Postal Service.
That's right.
And so I was like, oh, cool. I'll just, I'll go get one at Barnes & Noble before I go to the beach. And he's like, yeah, it won't be out till like July 5th. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it hits the newsstands a little bit later than it does. Because it's available now. It's an order from his website.
Is yours here?
Right in front of me.
Oh, yeah?
Once it comes in, I'm officially in football preview mode.
I heard you had like a meeting at like 6:02 tonight.
At 6:02.
Yeah. So you probably need to go do that. And then I'll wrap up things around here.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Then I'm gone for a while. I'm not here tomorrow. So
you got to make sure you clean things up around here.
Yeah. Just straighten up.
But not take my backpack or anything. Leave it here.
I'll leave
it. At 6:02.
No, I don't want your backpack.
You want to watch it for me? You want to watch all the stuff?
Just straighten up a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. Travis Brown writes for the Bryan College Station Eagle, covering Texas A&M. Had a quote in the piece he wrote today from A&M baseball player Travis Chestnut that was just, I was like, ouch. Quote, not once in my career was he, Jim Schlossnagle, a respectable man to me. I stuck with him because I wanted to be an Aggie and in the SEC. It's just one kid. I don't know how many others are coming out saying some of these things. I imagine a few of these guys may actually transfer with Schloss to the University of Texas. Others will stay. Others will go to other places.
Because almost that entire starting lineup is in the transfer portal.
But, I know emotion is raw, but boy, that one.
It's harsh.
Yeah. When I saw that, I had to really look twice and go, wow, like that, you got him on record right away saying that kind of thing too. Do you tell anybody that otherwise? Like even behind the scenes, do people just know it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what good it does, but
yeah, because he ain't coming back.
Right.
What's done is done.
I don't like that he couldn't. Well, I don't like that he didn't have a meeting with his team.
Yeah, or at least tell them of that. I had no problem meeting with the coaches to coordinate the departure.
He seemed to lament that a little bit. I don't know. Cut 2 on today's list, please. This is Jim Schlossnagle, now the new head baseball coach at Texas, on whether or not he thinks he steered people in the wrong direction in College Station.
Well, I didn't intentionally mislead them. And that's a very fair question for you to ask because that is what I said. in that moment, that's exactly how I felt. At 50 years old, you got to understand, and Chris would probably back me up on this, I love TCU. My children grew up there, Fort Worth. I was there 18 years, and it had to be a very unique situation for me to leave that at 50 years old. I love Coach Garrido, but I hope I get to coach here for a long time, but I don't really have any plans on coaching to 75, 78 years old. So I made that choice because it aligned both personally and professionally with what I had going on at the time. And I loved it. And I dove in with every single ounce of me to help A&M have the very best baseball program it can possibly have. And that investment lasted through the last pitch of the national championship game. It never wavered, not 1 second. I don't care what anybody says. As Chris likes to say, we have jobs and try to run a business on other people's passion. And if I had left Texas A&M for some other school in a different part of the country, the interesting text messages and messages that I got yesterday probably wouldn't have happened. But I get it. You can't ask for your fan base to support you and be passionate like the 12th man always has been, but really was this year. Our crowds were awesome. Awesome, every single game. And so you can't ask for that like I did and our staff did, and then expect everybody to be okay with a coach leaving for its rival school. And I get it, and I get it. All I can say is I have a career too. I have a personal life as well, that I have goals, and I just simply felt like no negative at A&M, just the positives of the alignment and, frankly, my relationship with Chris, that I knew there wasn't anybody at Texas A&M that I couldn't trust. I just know that I can trust Chris. I just know that. And as hard as that decision was, I could not walk away from it.
So there you go. Look, all the things make sense.
I get it.
I still contend that he didn't say, I'm staying here. Again, we had a debate on that yesterday with some folks. You know, I say he walked right up to the line, maybe dipped a toe over it. I think, Elijah, you feel like he at least took a couple of steps over it. Some people think that he ran straight on past it and onto the next line, wherever that was. And I get it. Everything he says makes sense. It's just this could have been handled better, and I do not believe Jim Schlossnagle or Chris Del Conte when they say the first time they had any discussion about Jim taking the job was Tuesday morning.
Yeah, that one is, I just feel like almost a verifiable falsehood.
I just think there are too many factors. Like I said, circumstantial evidence is admissible in court. It may be harder to prove, but
they'll allow it.
Yeah, but it's allowable. And in this case, the circumstantial evidence says, nah, man, you knew what was up. And now I believe him now, again, because, again, some A&M fans are like, oh, that's why he made that call in that inning about that particular. And I'm like, come on, stop.
He's not going to blow the game.
Yeah, he still wants to win. And he has people he's responsible for. There is, even in that, it's not, a type of athletic fiduciary responsibility. You're not tanking it. You're not blowing it. Like, watch this. I'm going to Texas.
I want to show these guys by making an ass of myself on TV.
Yeah, you're not
in the championship.
Not doing that. So
counterintuitive.
Again, just real quick, Kendall Rogers today on the D1 Baseball Podcast did suggest that a couple of ACC coaches could be who A&M is looking at. Like I say, I would be looking inside the Southeastern Conference first. Can you get Nick Mingione out of Kentucky? Can you get Butch Thompson out of Auburn? Things like that. Like that might be, just interesting things to look at. We'll see. But we'll come back on the other side of the break. The Phil Steele magazine is out for some people, including Elijah Campbell, who's done a deep dive on where Carolina may stand as we look into the 2024 season. We'll see what Phil has to say when the postgame show returns. Been talking a lot of college baseball this week as the season wrapped up, and then Texas rocked the boat just a little bit more to send us off into the offseason going, oh, welcome to the Southeastern Conference, Longhorns. Appreciate you.
An all-timer in terms of coaching departures and coaching controversies. That's fun.
Now they're bringing a potential top 10 football team into the league as well. South Carolina doesn't get Texas for the next couple of years. They do get Oklahoma, but a lot riding on Shane Beamer this year, and expectations are always to at least make a bowl. Again, I put them a little higher. I like to think South Carolina football is in that 8-win category or better, obviously, depending on circumstance. But let's see what Phil Steele has to say as Elijah has gotten the brand new Phil Steele 2024 college football preview. Before you get into some of the numbers, I don't want to bury the lead too much here. Phil is very honest about everything he does. Mm-hmm. So maybe without going too far, does he like South Carolina or not?
Back into the SEC. I think this is probably, in terms of projection, 5-7, 6-6. Uh-huh. He has them pretty even with teams like Kentucky and Auburn, meaning, Kentucky, in his eyes, are in a similar boat, meaning that second game of the year is going to mean a whole lot for both of those teams. It's not great. Not great, I would say.
Okay. Well, let's look at why then.
We'll look at why. We'll go ahead and look at the position breakdown. If you look at what he does really well is he'll rank each position group 1 through 68. So they'll give you the best 68 of each position group. And if your team doesn't qualify in that, it's pretty bad. And unfortunately for South Carolina, they are no-shows in QB and OL, meaning he doesn't think they have one of the top 68 quarterback rooms in the country, nor one of the top 68 offensive line units in the country. Not a great combination.
Right.
Moving forward.
The QB room, I suppose, can be forgiven in the sense that
because we don't know.
It's raw.
It's raw. We don't know. Lenora Sellers is the biggest question mark in the SEC when it comes to quarterbacks. The range of possibilities with Lenoris is pretty wide.
It's about as wide for someone who's taken no meaningful snaps.
Right.
It goes from Heisman dark horse to, hey, just hope he keeps his head above water.
Exactly. I mean, he has thrown 4 passes in his career. All of them are against Furman.
Right.
So he has them as not ranked in that regard. And the offensive line, while there are some unknowns, I would say is at least an improvement from last year. It was one of the worst units in all of college football. Even if he had them at like 72, it's probably an improvement from last season. Defensively, that's where he's the highest on them. He actually, in all 3 position groups on defense, so defensive line, linebackers, DBs, top 30 units in all of them, with the defensive line unit being the number 20 defensive line unit in the country. And in the SEC, he is a lot higher on them as well. He has the linebacking unit at 6. He actually has the defensive line at 7, but that's the 2 best defensively that they have. He's pretty high on the running backs, 22. And what you'd think for
in
pass
the country?
catchers. Yeah,
obviously in the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the country.
Sorry.
And 5th in the SEC. He has,
I forget how many schools are in the SEC anymore. So.
Well, I mean, give it a couple of years, maybe. Who knows? The way we're going, we might have 25 to choose from. But nationally, he has the strongest as being defensive line. But offensively, it is running backs at 22. The big surprise here is that he still thinks this wide receiver and tight end pass catching group is top 30 in the country. Has him at 28.
Yeah, and I think, look, it's fair. I'm not going to sit here and go, how could he? I'm not that guy.
Right.
I've seen enough of that, with video games, and this gets to be more serious, but I'm still not going to be that guy. And one reason I'm not, especially with Phil, is I know how much work he puts into this. But the simple fact is there is so much that is unknown that you just have to go out and do. And to be fair and blend in some fun of the video game thing with the reality of what Phil's looking at, EA Sports was very careful to tell everyone, hey, these are all subject to change, y'all. This is kind of how we're having to do this as we build this platform again.
And the ratings change.
Yeah, and the same thing can be true here in terms of how you're looking at a school like South Carolina. With the stability of Spencer Rattler the last couple of years, an offensive line last year that, again, you got down into your 3 deep to where they became 1s.
Which isn't good for anybody.
And nobody expected that, anticipated that. And so I can, when I say give them a pass, I think everybody understands. And I think a lot of people around here, know what I mean by that. Like, hey, that happened. Now, again, to me, look, the development of Lenoris and the skill guys around him is certainly paramount. But I come back to something that I think is far more fundamentally important. Why did so many of those kids up front get hurt? What isn't happening or what is happening in training, in practice? When I say training, weight room, flexibility, those kind of things. And, we've talked to a few people who have said there's the difference, strength and conditioning. They do go hand in hand, but conditioning comes after strength. And in other words, some of these, they were so young. Were they strong enough to do what was asked of them? Is that why they were getting hurt? Because their bodies simply couldn't handle the things they were being asked to do relative to the high school level.
The violence that requires you of an offensive lineman.
And I mean, you just, you got to just literally, can you hang on for the ride, man? And sometimes that's what it's about when you're going up against some of those monsters on the other side of the line. So that to me still is a major factor. I'm not placing blame, but it is a situation that you've got to address. Why did that happen? These were not all, say, guys just getting run into and having their knee buckle or having, their shoulder get caught and twisted. A lot of it was just wear and tear, like quick wear and tear. Like, what can you do to make them stronger and absorb more of that? Again, I've talked to enough people who know the sport that told me that's something that is being addressed. So there's that part of the equation. The good news is Lenoris is someone who is good on his feet. Mm-hmm. And he is going to be asked to do that. That's why Robbie Ashford is here, too, so that should something happen, and sometimes it does, that you've got someone who's going to come in and be able to keep the flow. You're not having two different kinds of, last year, you needed to keep Spencer as upright as possible, and we talked about it a bunch. He was sacked 40 times. How often was he under duress? At least another 40 or 50 times. Right, where it might have been close, or we had to make something happen. So I can appreciate that's just, it's fair of a guy like Phil Steele, especially to look at it and go, hey, they weren't very good last year, and now, I'm doing shoulder shrug emoji guy.
It's the reality of it. Yeah. It's the reality of it. But he did say that, he does get to a certain part of this magazine where he projects the most improved assets of each offense in the country and who's going to have the most improvement with passing and rushing, and he has South Carolina as the number one most improved offense in the run game in the entire country.
Well,
in terms of production from one year to the next, he believes because of the additions of the running back room with Rocket Sanders, with Oscar Attaway, Jawarn Howell, having a lot of balance in that backfield with a really good running quarterback who, if we know anything about Lenoris Sellers and how he projects at the SEC level, is that he did torch one SEC team on the ground. Yeah. Granted, Vanderbilt, but he torched them on the ground for one play. And if there's anything you know about him is that he has that capability. So using all of that, he has projected them to be the most improved running team in the entire country.
I know I can't have it both ways, but I'm going to say it this year. I'm really glad, I suppose, for South Carolina that they start with a game like Old Dominion.
Yes.
In the sense that you can kind of just go in and have a whole game. And it's going to be brutal out there that day. We talked about that yesterday.
It's going to be so hot. Already know it.
But, and again, I wish they had a preseason game they could play. I really do. Just to find a way to get things to click as quickly as possible, because I don't want to go too far with this, and we still have August to discuss it, but I'm going to go back and look at like conference openers on the road that had more importance for South Carolina in the last 30 years. I don't know. There probably has been one somewhere, right? Going to Georgia early or something, but I don't know. Michael Haney coming up. This is the Postgame Show. 11 minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you. Coming up next hour, about an hour from now, Johnny Folsom on Salute from the Shore. A great opportunity to say happy birthday, America, and salute the military all at the same time. We'll talk about that for you. And speaking of America, with a lot of international stuff going on this summer, we'll get into which American team you pull hardest for.
This will be a fun one.
Yeah.
Sport-based, naturally.
I know one of them that our next guest pulls hard for. They play tonight at 6, actually. That's the United States men's national soccer team. He is our good friend Michael Haney, who had the pleasure of doing more than 2,000 shows with me, and then he just bolted. How's that working out for you?
Yeah. You know, I think I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing okay.
If you say so.
He escaped. That's what we're saying.
2,000 of anything, right? That's a lot.
I think it was more like 2,500 you put in out there, but I don't know. So Nashville Nights is well underway again this summer with our friends at Steel Hands, and you're playing, and other people from your new hometown of Nashville, Tennessee, are also getting it done. So what's going on tonight?
Yeah, well, tonight I'm actually up in Greensboro. For those that don't know, Steel Hands has a second location in Greensboro, North Carolina. So for those that haven't followed along on social media or don't really know, this is year number 4 of my residency with Steel Hands, where I get to bring some of the best up-and-coming and established artists and singer-songwriters that Music City has to offer that I'm fortunate to be friends with. So I'm in Greensboro on Thursday nights, and then I bring it all home to Casey on Friday nights at the flagship location. So it's a really busy summer. It's a fun summer, but yeah, I get to play music with my friends, as Willie said. So I'm on the road, and we're starting all over one more time, another week.
So a residency, I think of Vegas, and I think of Adele and Celine Dion. Do you do a lot of wardrobe changes for a residency? How does that go down?
I do ask a lot about what I should wear, because I'm very much in my head about the pictures that get taken, and I'm like, I was actually wearing that shirt last week. I can't wear that again. So yeah, you jest, but I actually do think about that a lot. I don't want there to be showing up like a cartoon character. He's just wearing the same clothes every week. So I could do that, but I try to at least switch it up between each location, and I try to look a little bit different for those that might be paying attention. But in the end, nobody really cares, and I don't know why I do.
Yeah, there's no shame in outfit repeating. As a serial outfit repeater, there is no shame in it. If anything, you're in the wrong for noticing too frequently.
I'm just waiting for him to come out in one of those shirts that shimmers. Adele style. I mean, that's a thing.
It's good. I'm just glad you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't throw Wayne Newton at me. In terms of the residency.
Well,
I was thinking Barry Manilow.
Yeah. I've seen Wayne Newton in Vegas. It was actually. You know what? It kind of kicked ass. It really truly was awesome. So there's that. So who's coming in town this weekend with you, sir?
My good buddy Gabe Lee. Gabe is an incredible songwriter, and he's got a lot of big things that have come his way and that will continue to come his way. So again, just another one in the long line of talented folks that I've got coming through. If you don't know Gabe Lee, he's been on the road and opened for bands like Muscadine Bloodline. He's opened for Jason Isbell before. He's shared the stages with lots of great folks, tours around Texas a lot, but he's a Nashville native, and his latest album is called The Hometown Kid. So he's been recognized by Rolling Stone magazine. The last 2 albums that he's put out is one of the top 25 country and Americana albums over his last 2 albums. So Gabe's got some good things going on. Made his Opry debut late last year, and he's actually taken the Opry stage again a couple of months ago. So again, met Gabe 5 years ago, and we were just out hanging out one of those days on Old Hickory Lake, not Percy Priest, up in Nashville. And I didn't know him yet. I knew of him, but didn't know him. And we didn't talk music. We bonded over stand-up comedians and college football. So I was like, all right, I like this guy. We're going to get along just fine. But Gabe's he's just one of those guys. I know for some folks, music is surface level. But Gabe is a guy that if you look him up and really pay attention to what he's saying and what he's doing, he's one of the best right now that's doing what he's got going on. So really happy for him, excited for him, and you get to see him at Steel Hands tomorrow night. If that sounds like something that you would be into, he will be there at Steel Hands. So come on out and check out.
6 o'clock-ish, yes? Just get out there and get going early, 6 o'clock?
Yep,
Right.
come on.
Good stuff. All right, safe travels to and from up in Greensboro, and we'll holler at you. I want to talk to you next time about the Petty Country album. I know you and I are big Tom Petty fans. I want to see what you think about what those covers are like. We'll do that next time. Talk to you soon, man.
All
Appreciate you.
See you guys.
That's Michael Haney, Steel Hands, tomorrow night, hour 2. Coming up. 4 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. We are inside the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, where it's currently inside 74 degrees. Outside today, only 90.
Only 94, according to our monitor in here.
Okay. I got 90 on the watch. I don't know exactly. I think.
Do I need a jacket?
Well, so today, I told Elijah, like most days, listen, I'm no Mr. Universe, okay? But I do try to just stay active and in some amount of decent shape, just so, I can age gracefully. My youngest is still only 15, so I got a long way to go. But I forewent, I think that's how I say that word, I forewent my treadmilling today, and instead I cut my grass with my fantastic Toro Time Master 30-inch.
Who'd you get it from?
Cato's Power Equipment. Thank you for asking.
Hell yeah.
But the reason I did it today is because I was outside with the dogs for a minute around, 10:30, and I kind of glance around, and there was just it was cloudy, but it was hot. And I was like, all right, because you can kind of tell. I'm no weatherman, but I'm like, you know what? It's going to stay cloudy now that it's 11. Like, the sun's up in the sky now. Like, it's not burning through. Like, it's going to stay cloudy. I said, I got about an hour window here. And we're going on vacation soon, and I hate coming back to just, like an overgrown yard. It's going to need to get cut again. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And with the Toro Time Master, and it does work in nicely, I was like, all right, I know I can get it done quick. I wasn't jogging behind my mower today. But I promise you, it's the fast, because you can, the cool thing about it, and I'm blending in two things at once here, is that you can walk as fast as you want, and it'll just keep going. Like, you're basically pushing it. It'll go. It doesn't control you. You can control it. And I was like, I'm going to walk faster today. I got in a little more of a workout type of thing, and I also just wanted to make sure that my gut about the sky was right. Because if the sun had been out, I wasn't going to do it.
Oh, it'd be way, way too hot.
I just wasn't going to do it.
If it was yesterday, you're absolutely.
Oh, hell no.
You would have survived.
No way, man. No way. But today, I said, I've got a window here, and I'm not even kidding. 10 minutes, I pulled the weed eater out afterwards. I got the blower out to blow off the patio where some of the stuff flies onto it, and put the stuff. And at that time, like the clouds began to break. I was like, yes. So I was really happy that I got that done today. So I don't typically cut my grass on a weekday.
You're typically not racing to do it.
No, I'm not. And, and when I was doing it this morning, I'm typically working and getting ready, but I will work out like after lunchtime. And then I come in here, in the 2 o'clock hour and get ready for a 3 o'clock show, or I'm ready for a 3 o'clock show by then. And so I was a little bit off kilter for a bit, and I talked to you. You had called me, and I just missed you. I was still sweating when you called, but it's all good.
It would have been just a lot worse yesterday.
I wouldn't again.
That sweating.
The only way I would have done it on a day like yesterday is if it was truly crucial. Like I have no choice but
to do it
that day. Because otherwise, that's just And I those of you who do it for a living, like more power to you, man.
God bless you.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it. That's part of it. But I got I didn't get lucky. But I looked up and I was like, I wasn't planning on it, but let's go ahead and get it done.
You reached that epiphany of like, oh,
that's right.
Man, if I don't do it now, there is no doing it.
Thanks again to our good friend Michael Haney for hanging out with us tomorrow night at Steel Hands, and pretty much every Friday through the course of the summer, Nashville nights at Steel Hands. I'm now that he's off the air, and I know he's in another state, so he can't hear me. I'm really happy for him, and I'm so proud of him. He's worked so hard to do what he's doing. And it's hard to believe sometimes that he's, we worked together for more than 11 years. And I mean, we still talk all the time. But it's hard for me to believe he's been gone 9 years. It's weird.
Years fly by, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's been gone 9 years. That's how long I've known him. So, but But he's working really hard. And y'all should check out the work he's done. You can get it on Spotify and Apple Music and all the other places online that you get your music.
Probably wild to you that now that I'm doing the math in my head, he's almost been gone longer than you guys have.
It's getting close, man.
Shows
I mean, it's getting close. And we did. I mean, I don't know how I'm bad at math, but he was better at it. But he got pretty close to an exact number, like 2,500 and something. A lot of shows.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of anything.
But I'm happy for him. He's doing a great job and he's working hard. It's a different life. He's gone a lot.
A lot of traveling.
That's one reason I didn't get into something like play-by-play. I just, because by the time I had a chance to do play-by-play, I had 2 kids, and I was like, I think I just want to be a dad and a homebody. And I'm good. I like traveling, but maybe not all the time.
So, which is why I like radio. You can get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I want to stay home for a little bit.
And I get to give my opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get paid for it. So that's kind of nice. Some Gamecock baseball news real quick before we get back into our discussion on Phil Steele. And we want to talk later about the international stuff going on. But I've got both a positive and sort of not a negative, but like a lamentation about American international competition. So I may have brought it up before. I can't remember. Probably have at some point in my career, but we'll do that again in just a second. This on the heel, well, not the heels of, but tonight in let's see, 2 hours, America and Panama kick off in the Copa America, Game 2. South Carolina, I hope I get this kid's last name right. Maybe we should call Jack. Who's
on the spot. We'll cold call him.
We should. You should. No. I don't want to do that to him.
Like call him as soon as he answers. Put him on the line. Put him on the air.
Yeah, Jack, you're live on the radio. What's up, buddy? Charlie Meglio, Meglio, probably Melio. You think Meglio, Melio is kind of how I'm thinking that's pronounced.
Meglio,
but Meglio could be if it's more Americanized. But regardless, he just finished.
Gave it your best.
He just finished his freshman year. We'll get it right, Charlie. We'll just call him Charlie M for now, or just Charlie.
Yeah.
He posted on Instagram that next chapter. Thank you, Campbell Baseball, for everything, and it just had the Gamecock baseball logo, the interlocking SC that's used exclusively for baseball and softball. Last season, he was a CAA All-Rookie Team member, hit .275, OPS of .874, 9 home runs, 28 runs batted in, 160 at-bats, started 43 games for Campbell, 31 of them at third base. He also played 15 games at shortstop for the Camels. He will have 3 years of eligibility remaining. So that's a good pickup. That's a great baseball program. If you didn't see, Campbell's baseball coach is headed to be the new head baseball coach at Ohio State. So a lot of those guys leaving. Good pickup for Ohio State, in my opinion.
Showing they're going to start caring about baseball.
Yeah, a little bit. But Campbell, and you and I were talking about that last week. Campbell has a solid baseball tradition. I would rank it 6th or 7th in North Carolina. I mean, obviously the 4 ACC schools and ECU are just at a different level, but Wilmington is solid. Campbell is solid. They make tournaments. We've seen both Wilmington and Campbell in regionals in Columbia in the not too distant past. So, and he's from New Jersey. So, that's somebody they recruited from far away to come down here. So that's a good pickup. I mean, again, like a lot of these guys, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, there you go. I don't know.
There's potential there.
Yeah. I mean, welcome to the Southeastern Conference. So you're definitely stepping up a couple of levels.
Power numbers are there. 9 home runs in 44 games.
Yeah, and
it's solid. OPS can improve.
Yeah, 874 OPS. Maybe that's just get him a few more games. That's a few more doubles here and there. Things like that.
Freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a freshman last year. There's a lot of developing that can be done, and that's why you bring in the staff you brought in. Was for that development, to recruit guys like this, that they can see that type of potential in and improve them. But,
and again, you got some versatility and, a bunch of games at both short and third. So that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And, Coach Maneri and those guys will figure out where you play best. I mean, are you competing every day? Are you a solid utility guy, which is an absolute must? People do get hurt. I don't know. Again, I'm not predicting anything. I don't know. I mean, you'll go to fall ball competing for a starting job.
Certainly.
No doubt.
Yeah. Everybody will be competing for starting jobs.
Yeah.
New coaching staff coming in, minus Monty. Everybody's going to be positions are going to be open.
And here's another thing that I think you mentioned development. He's 6'4", 215.
Ooh,
so
can't teach being tall.
Yeah, and big. I mean, that's you can be 6'4" and be 180. But 6'4", 215. I got to tell you, man,
He's basically my size.
6'4", 215 is that's that sweet spot. That's 6'2" to 6'4", 210 to 225. I call it the Chipper Jones spot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's chipper. I'm not saying he's chipper. That's not what I'm doing. But
I definitely clipped that. Yeah.
But
bring that up later.
If you I've said before, you give me a ball club of any variety, pretty much, other than basketball. Heck, I don't know, man. If you gave me 12 dudes that were between 6'2" and 6'4" and all really athletic, I'll find a way for the tallest of them at 6'4" to be a good, nobody will be a true 5 in my basketball team, but I'll have a bunch of athletes that can run up and down the court.
Let's play some small ball.
Yeah. But on any other sport,
There's
baseball,
precedent.
football, soccer, hockey, if they can skate, that's good size. So anyway,
if you're 6'4" in hockey, you're basically 6'7" in skates.
yeah.
A little more imposing.
I mean, there's a bunch of dudes that are. I mean, that's what they are, right? I mean, they're the same athletes.
Yeah.
They're getting the same.
Most of the
same
NHL's
build.
that size.
Yeah. You're getting that same build. Braves and White Sox. Why are the Braves going back to Chicago? They've already been in Chicago once this year.
You'd think they would have just played.
Wait, is this
Chicago
the
teams back to back?
Hang on, I should know this. Is this the makeup game? I haven't even looked today. Remember they said they were gonna make one up when the Braves were on a road trip. This might be the makeup game. I don't know. I'll you know what? I'm sitting here live radio. I should probably find these kind of things out first.
What I do know is they should win. The White Sox are butt. That's my analysis. You want some analysis? That's my analysis. But. B-U-T-T.
Yeah, let's see. Hang on. I'm trying to find the schedule here. And why
100% Cheeks.
This will not cooperate with me for whatever reason.
Have they broken the 20-win mark yet? I doubt it.
Let's see. Hang on a second. I got it. I don't know why this is not cooperating at all. So I apologize, y'all. Again, live radio. Yeah, this is the makeup game. Okay, good. They have Pittsburgh this weekend in Atlanta. The Chicago White Sox are 21-61.
Oh, they did. They did break it. Wow, they have the same record as the Charlotte Hornets. Congratulations, White Sox. Which means they wouldn't be the worst team in the NBA.
Yeah.
That belonged to the Pistons.
So, speaking of the Hornets, who'd they pick last night?
That's
some guy.
Yeah, some guy that was going to be picked in the teens, maybe 20s, and they took him at 6. And didn't take Donovan Clingan.
So we'll talk about this a little bit later. I know you have a few thoughts that we'll get into on the NBA draft, but apparently 2 of Cal's players taken in the top 5, and they started like a combined 10 games.
Yeah, they were not normal starters.
Reed Shepard and help me out.
Rob Dillingham.
Dillingham, thank you. Dalton Connect drops all the way to 17. Most mocks had him going top 10, and you were watching this. I freely admitted I was not going to watch the NBA draft. Sorry, I'll watch the football draft first round, maybe even the second round. But
I'm just a sucker for drafts.
I know, and you love the NBA. I like the NBA, but I don't like the NBA enough to watch the draft. But you were saying that Dalton Connect basically dropped because people thought he was too old at age 23 to be drafted in the top 10.
Once they got past pick 10 and the picks kept going by and Dalton Connect wasn't getting picked, they would go to Jonathan Givony or whoever, Bobby Marks, and asking them, why is he slipping like this? He was really productive. He's the SEC player of the year. And every time they said the people that we've texted, opposing GMs are all saying that they just don't like that he's 23. So ageism in the NBA, like in the draft, if you're 23, they basically view you as 40, which is just wild to me.
Well, that's dumb because he's a great player, and I think in that system in LA, we'll see what JJ.
Right now.
But I mean, with a guy like JJ coaching you, I imagine he'll be salivating, going, a spot up shooter from anywhere, yeah,
a 40% 3-point shooter, yes.
Let's do it. All right, come back on the other side. Which American team do you pull hardest for in international play? I want to get into that and more as the postgame show rolls on. Oh, I mentioned it a little bit earlier this hour, but I want to reiterate how happy I was today, especially to have my Toro Time Master 30-inch deck push mower. Really, it's a walk behind. All today it was a brisk walk behind as I needed to get the yard cut while it was very, very warm in Columbia, South Carolina. But I appreciate having it because it does cut my mowing time, even on a nice, comfortable day. If I just want to amble along behind it, I can. Today, it was a little quicker. But I got it done, and Cato's is ready to help you out. Now, this model is also available in a battery-powered, so there's a lot less moving parts. You can recharge the battery, and a lot of things going in that direction these days at Cato's, and the battery will run a lot of different power tools. So like I say all the time, whether you're cutting your own backyard or you're doing it for a living, see Cato's for excellent sales, service, and advice. They've been family-owned since 1983, 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, always online at catospowerequipment.com. Twenty minutes after 4 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Coming up just a little bit, we'll talk to Johnny Folsom, who works here in our building for Collier's Commercial Real Estate. But he and his son Andy and many others for many years have been helping put together Salute from the Shore, a great opportunity to say happy birthday, America. Salute current fighter pilots, veteran fighter pilots. See some really cool vintage aircraft. Some of those big old things, I don't know how they even stay in the air, man. It's crazy to me to see some of those big airplanes fly. And they have to crawl along in the air. Unlike those fighter jets, which can cook.
They're hauling.
Yeah. Those things can move. And 2 of them flew over my house the other day. I was like, oh, all right. They're doing some urban drills, I
Even
guess.
if I know they're drills, it's still unsettling.
I mean, at first, because you hear it build, right? And then, yeah, that's something. But Johnny will be here in just a little bit. A lot of international competitions going on this summer. Right now, we've got the European Soccer Championships. They call it football, most of them.
They are incorrect.
We got the Copa America going on, and that's the it's really the South American tournament, but a lot of us in North America have been invited this year. And, of course, the Olympics will be in Paris in about a month's time. Just threw out a flash poll for today's show. Which American team, men's and women's, do you pull hardest for in international competition? Basketball, soccer, swimming, track and field. And I say if you have another one, happy to have you leave a reply and tell us which one. I do love me some Ryder Cup. I'll tell you that much.
Ryder Cup is fun.
I know which one I would choose on this. But one of the things I was going to say as we talk about this, it's not a problem, I guess. You know, look, America's big 3 sports are all American. Now, you know, football, and I know there was like what was that term? Some kind of youth?
Oh, it's like an under 20 International Football Association tournament.
Yeah.
And Japan beat the United States 41-20. 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that is kind of bad. I don't know who America is. I mean, you know, under 20, so are we sending like high school seniors and college freshmen? I mean,
which by rule, the other team has to play under 22.
Yeah. I don't know who America's sending, and that's neither here nor there. You know, hey, you know what? Good that you lost. I mean, sometimes losing's good for you. But my point is, you know, football, basketball, baseball, those are American sports. Now, again, basketball is absolutely now a global sport. And baseball, listen, I love the fact, I mean, we've had Latin American players, you know, in the United States for decade upon decade now. That's an easy one. I love the fact that there are more Japanese and Korean guys playing in the United States now and doing it at a high level. I think it's great for the game. You know, Australian guys are starting to play more baseball. That's great. But like America, like Major League Baseball, now that we have the World Baseball Classic, Major League Baseball owners have let it be known that they don't want their star players doing this. Now, a lot more Latin American guys and Asian guys are saying, well, I'm going to do it. We give a crap.
Too damn bad.
Yeah. And I, you know, America sends quality players to the team, but not necessarily the elite.
Right.
Again, there is no big-time international football competition. And basketball's biggest international competition is at the Olympics, where America is an overwhelming favorite every summer, men's and women's. I mean, the American women I think they've won the gold medal every year since sometime in the 80s. You know, the American men have been upset a couple of times. I remember
it's been since 2004.
Yeah. But the story isn't, hey, yes, America wins gold medal at Olympics. It's only a story, really, if you don't. It's fun to get pushed by a Spain, an Australia, a France, perhaps, these days. The Canadian team this year for men
is loaded.
Is going to be very good. Lots of NBA dudes there.
France just had 3 kids taking the top 6 of the NBA draft. France will be good for a long time.
But there's not necessarily a sport that we have where you feel like you're going into it, you know, beyond that. Now, look, track even, swimming. And I threw those on there for Olympic sports. Like, you know, with track, again, Jamaica is really good at the sprint events, and there'll be some people in the field events. And you know, America that's a good competition. In swimming, it feels like it's America and Australia, and then you'll have the odd swimmer from somewhere else that will make a name for his or herself in any given year. I know, like, the Hungarians are very good at swimming and things like that. You'll get a Spanish or a French swimmer that's really good. But in terms of just the two countries that are the absolute best at it, they're just better than you, America and Australia, right? And there's that friendly competition and sometimes unfriendly competition. But, when I look at, like, the World Cup, if I just, like, I'm hoping next time, America, gosh, just make the semifinal. Like, that'd be a win.
Oh, that would be the greatest World Cup showing ever.
Yeah, I mean, at least in the modern era.
The country really got behind. Like I think my most favorite memory of the United States in the World Cup is Tim Howard getting a bunch of saves in a losing effort.
Yeah. Against Belgium. Yeah,
against Belgium.
It was
huge.
And Romelu Lukaku had that late goal, and Chris Wondolowski just whiffed on a chance. Oh, man. And that was when Jurgen Klinsmann didn't take Landon Donovan because he didn't think Landon was as invested. And so Wando was like the backup striker to Josie and had his chance. And I can still see it.
Yeah.
I was at British Bulldog. We were doing live shows that whole summer from British Bulldog, man. And the fire marshal came.
America really got behind it. They got behind that team.
They were literally at British Bulldog. They were having to have someone at the door, clicking, all right, that person left. One more can come in now. It was awesome.
At capacity the entire time.
But Tim Howard, that was great. But
and that was what, a round of 16?
Yes.
Imagine, they get to a semifinal.
Got to the quarterfinal in 2002, beat Mexico in the round of 16, lost to Germany in a good game in 2002. America did make a semifinal in the very first World Cup, and I think there were only 8 countries or something.
Twitter definitely wasn't around then.
No Twitter in the 30s.
No social media.
But again, for our biggest, I wish, I don't know, I want to get more into the World Baseball Classic because I love baseball. But when I know that, again, the owners really aren't supportive and it'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I want y'all doing that. They're going to bring baseball back for the LA Olympics, but I don't know who's going to play.
Because what in the pool the last time the baseball was an Olympic sport, it wasn't MLB players.
That was college guys.
College guys.
And then they wanted the World Baseball Classic, and they got it. Mm-hmm. But even when Italy and Holland play, Italy, it's all dudes who are American that have Italian descent. And with the Netherlands, it's the same thing, or either guys from the Caribbean that are Dutch territories. Most of those guys are from Curacao, things like that. But I don't know. I just see all these countries that are going nuts for it, and America doesn't get all geared up for the way some of these soccer nations are gearing up for these tournaments this summer for basketball. And we wouldn't do it for baseball. We just don't really do it. I wish there was something more like that. I'm not blaming people or saying how dare you not support. It's just, I think it's not a ho-hum either. I think, but nobody gathers around the sports bar for the gold medal game in men's and women's basketball. And maybe a few people do, right? But
not many,
right?
No. That's more I think I enjoy, obviously basketball is my favorite sport, but there is something that's really fun about modern Olympic U.S. basketball where it is fun to watch them just kick somebody's ass really hard.
Yeah.
Where you're not having to sweat.
And that's sort of where the entertainment value of it is. It's
that's nice. I like to be able to sit in front of my TV
right.
And if you're beating Russia by 30, being able to be take that.
Yeah.
And get to just
and there's almost part of me that wishes Russia could play this summer, if only to see something like that.
And get humiliated. Yeah. I like watching United States humiliate others. Right. It's great. I enjoy that.
But there's some countries I like. I got no beef with Canada. I got no beef with Spain. More of the postgame show coming up.
Want to tell you about my good friends over at Columbia Secret for Weight Loss. Look, no matter what your weight loss goal is, because we all have different goals with what we want to do to reach our ideal weight, right? And everybody's lives are different. We have different sleep schedules, different everything. And that's where personalized coaching comes into play in a big, big way. In Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, Paul Grant and Shaylin do a fantastic job of working with you to talk whenever, to be able to coach you through your weight loss journey and be able to help you understand the secret of how your body works, what you're putting into your body, establishing better habits, and helping you lose up to a pound of unhealthy fat per day, and starting a success story like mine, where I'm 20 pounds down from the time I first met with them just a short time ago. If you're interested in that secret, give them a call, 803-824-4210. Again, 803-824-4210, or go to ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Results may vary. From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you here that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start here in Richland County. An accident on Veterans Road near Garner's Ferry Road is causing some issue, as well as one on Shop Road at Pineview Drive, one on Killian Road at Highway 555 and Farrow Road, one on I-20 westbound at Monticello Road and Exit 68, one on Flora Drive near Dale Valley Road, and one on Berry Hill Road at Bush River Road. Lastly, we have an accident in Lexington County on Highway 6 over near Bush River Road.
Talking international competition, who you pull for when America is going up against others around the world, whether it's these big international soccer tournaments. Of course, America can't play in the European Championships. Fact.
Talk about an invasion.
Yep. But Copa America, USA plays Panama tonight. Of course, World Cup, when it comes around, be back in America in 2026. And the Olympics, which this year in Paris and 4 years from now, back in America as well, out in L.A., I don't know. Are we scheduled to have any winter games in the United States anytime soon?
It comes to the United States relatively frequently.
I'd like to see like Salt Lake get it again. I know Denver once thought about it and then chose not to pay for it. Salt Lake has most stuff in place.
Lake Placid would be cool for the memories.
Yeah, I don't think you can do Lake Placid or Squaw Valley again, man. You know,
Can't ruin it.
Yeah, well, it's not that, but like even that, that rink might only hold like what 4,000 or 5,000. Like in order to
Good
make
home ice advantage, baby. Come on.
yeah, for hockey, yeah, but again, I don't know if they have a second one. And considering the amount of money that figure skating generates, I mean, you'd have to be selling tickets for like $5,000 or something to try to make your money. So I'm just afraid the quaint winter villages that used to host these things.
We're past that.
Yeah, I think we're done with that.
Dang it.
Yeah.
In 2026, they're in Italy, the Winter Olympics.
And I knew that because I think they're going to ski and stuff like at Cortina, and then they're going to have like the skating and a lot of the other things in maybe Milan or somewhere.
Milan, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So sort of a split. That's how you have to do it. You can't have, again, you can't have it in the little village rink anymore, man. You just, again, that ship has.
Can't with that attitude. That's for sure.
Has sailed. Let's get you some early flash poll results here. Right now, soccer out front at 39%. Swimming next, 29.3. Basketball, 24.4. Track and field, 7.3. And a couple of you have left replies, one for rugby and one for cricket, after the massive upset of Pakistan a few weeks ago.
Cricket, yeah. Hey, we're a cricket country now.
I don't think it took them too far. I think that was about it. But
it's not quite like the Miracle on Ice where they won and then still had to win another game.
I wish I knew more about cricket. I do, because I hear a lot, because I watch a lot of English soccer, and so I'll hear a lot of their commentators. And if I watch like or if I watch like Sky Sports, which is sort of ESPN over in England, it'll be like, oh, and in the cricket today, or like some of the English guys, like they're it's just like baseball. They're super into it, and then I'm like it's all pops and buzzes from here. Like I have no idea what you're.
The minute you hear wickets, you tune out.
To me, Wicket is an Ewok in Star Wars. That's about what I know.
I've tried, though, when I first got ESPN Plus, like when you first purchase something, you want to use it as much as possible so you can feel like you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
Like when I first purchased ESPN Plus, like I'm a little bit of a night owl myself. I was up pretty late. I would be just scrolling through, seeing what's on, going through the 30 for 30, library. And I just saw I was like, what's live right now? It's like 2 a.m. At this point, I'm living in Central Time. Like, it's 2 a.m. here. What's live right now? And there was cricket, like in Sri Lanka. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this. I'm going to try to figure it out by watching it. And you know what I couldn't do?
Yeah,
figure it out by watching it.
That's the thing. It's like
fascinating, yes, but I learned zero, nothing.
I don't want to say I'm too old to learn now, because that's doing myself and others a disservice. But I'll try at some point. NBA draft continues now. I mentioned to Elijah, where is this draft? New York City? Is that where they're?
It's at Barclays, yeah, so in Brooklyn. And now they're in the second round in a studio.
The first round last night with all the glitz and glamour and fancy suits and red carpet and moms crying and all that kind of fun stuff.
The green room.
But I said to Elijah today they should have it in the hotel ballroom annex.
They basically do. I mean, they're in a TV studio.
But it should be, where you have like a breakfast, but it's like the powdered eggs and the day old pastry.
The coffee creamers, the powdered.
The bad coffee in a styrofoam cup.
That tastes like dirt.
And you've got like the sound, the speaker is on the microphone, like the rostrum, like the speaker is built into the thing.
It's a karaoke machine. No, it's just a karaoke machine.
That's like round two. Have like a sign in the back. NBA draft round two, kind of like you said about Bon Secours Wellness Arena, like Thursday, Jazzercise. Yeah, Friday, Bon Jovi. Saturday.
Round two of the NBA draft.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, this is more like, 10 a.m., second round NBA draft. And they were like 1 p.m.,
Shuffleboard
lunch.
tournament.
Yeah, lunch and, like a retirement funding symposium, or something.
Just put it in a community center.
That's about the interest level, but it is going on today. But we do want to congratulate Columbia's Dylan Jones. He left Keenan High School to go to Sunrise Academy out in Kansas, and then played his college ball at Weber State out in Utah. But he was drafted last night, late in the first round by the Washington Wizards. So here's hoping that he can help that ball club improve. Washington's a fine place to live and work, so there's that.
He is the first Weber State player drafted in the first round since
Dame.
That would be correct.
Yeah.
Since Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
And he's had a pretty good career.
Yeah, Dame's.
That's good company to be in.
Hey, yeah, you follow that career arc.
Yeah. You're making yourself a lot of money.
Right, man. You're going to do all right. But the second round is going on as we speak. Last night, let's see, Zachary
Rissochet, yeah.
To the Hawks.
Well done.
Thank you. He's French, as you couldn't tell. Alex Sarr of France goes next to who is
the
that?
Wizards.
Oh, to the Wiz. That's the
Really
Wizards
playing with
logo? They changed logos, or I just don't look anymore. Reed Shepherd of Kentucky goes third. Started 5 games for John Calipari. Let me say it again.
Discourse. The John
Started
Calipari.
5 games for John Calipari.
The John Calipari discourse is necessary because what happened last night is a perfect reflection on exactly where he is as a coach.
He goes to Houston, and later down at number 8, Rob Dillingham of Kentucky, who also had limited starts as a guard.
Just one.
All right, so
He started a game.
yeah, so 6 combined starts. I knew it was less than 10. He goes to San Antonio. I get the beef that Kentucky fans have. I just don't know. You and I talked about this, and I don't want to dwell on it right now. I just don't know how good a basketball coach John Calipari is. Definitely a solid ace recruiter. And he can develop players into good basketball players, but I feel like, especially at UK, he only used it as a proving ground for the next level. And he's really proud of that. And that's fine and well, but that's not what Kentucky fans want, man. They want to win basketball. They want to win championships.
Right? That's the whole point of doing this. And I think, his legend and who he is, his persona outweighs the merit of his basketball coaching abilities. I don't think he's a bad coach. But to have all the talent he's had and have all the flops he's had and to mismanage a lot of that talent, there are countless examples between, Bam Adebayo being, solely a post-up guy and then going into the NBA, and he's one of the best passing bigs in the league. And,
am I right in saying he just got paid?
3 years, $166 million. That's a lot of money.
Goodness, we're in the wrong profession.
We are. We should have been NBA players. Why didn't we think of that?
It's always fun to celebrate America's birthday. It's always fun to salute America's military. What if I told you could do both things at the same time? Well, I'm not going to tell you, but my good friend Johnny Folsom's going to on the other side. It's all happening next week. You'll hear about it when the postgame show returns. All right, 12 minutes in front of 5 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back into the post-game show along with Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Braves and the White Sox in Chicago. This is the makeup game from earlier this season that got rained out. Sox are up 1-0 early. Solo shot. Chris Sale returns to whatever they call this park now. It's not Comiskey anymore. I don't know what it is. Do you know?
It's a free win for the visitor part.
Well, it better be, because right now the visitors are losing. It's always a pleasure to talk about Salute from the Shore with my good friend Johnny Folsom, who, he's probably known me my whole life. I've known him and his family as long as I've been around, and he and his son Andy and many others put on Salute from the Shore. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastically well. Thank you for
a lot of people have heard us talk about this, but for those who have not, how long you've been doing it, and then, of course, the biggest thing is, what is Salute from the Shore all about?
Good. Thank you for having me, Jay.
Yes,
Elijah,
sir.
appreciate it. Salute from the Shore. This is the 15th annual Salute from the Shore. And the Salute from the Shore is an initiative by patriotic South Carolinians to pay tribute to the men and women of the military and our veterans. And we do it every 4th of July. And we engage aircraft, military aircraft, F-16s and a C-17 from Charleston. They fly down the entire coast of South Carolina. And we ask South Carolinians and visitors to our state to go out on the beach and pay tribute to the military. Wave at the planes, wave flags, wear red, white, and blue, take pictures, and do all you can to express to those people who give us our freedoms, our appreciation for what they do.
And it really is neat. And, I mean, again, I think we've been doing this with you guys maybe almost the whole time, certainly most of it. And my family is typically near where your family is at the beach at Litchfield on the 4th. We will be again next week. But the outpouring is fantastic.
Right.
And I guess you guys have watched this kind of grow, but you know, from its beginning to where it is now, has it been bigger than you might have thought?
Well, of course. Yeah, really, when we started out, it was as simple as a good friend of mine and I sitting on the beach, Toddy Smith, and 17, 18 years ago, and saying, we were watching our children, we were watching our friends on the beach, 4th of July, and said to ourselves, you know, it really is not fair that we're sitting here enjoying this time together, and those young men and women are in the Middle East at the time, protecting our freedoms. We need to do something about it. And I promise you, Jay and Elijah, at that time, my son and his son walked up. We told them the story, and they said, we're going to do something about that.
Right.
And so the two old guys said, what? And Andy said, well, we're going to get a flyby down the entire South Carolina coast and get people out and celebrate and grow it. Well, I went back and called a congressman, and he put me in touch with DOD, and they said, great idea, but you might not realize this. We have a war going on, and we don't have assets. 2 years later, the exact same thing happened. Toddy and I were talking. 30 seconds later, the youngsters walked up. Deja vu all over again, as Yogi would say, and we pulled it off. So 15 years, it's grown from as we have begun to promote it and people are more aware of it, it has grown from maybe the beach attendance swelling a little bit around the time of the flyover to now where we are, it swells about 12:30 up to 1. The jets fly by, the C-17 flies by, and this year we're going to have, we think, 6 or 8 vintage World War II aircraft.
Excellent.
When they fly by, then 50% of the people on the beach go away. So they are there not only to celebrate the 4th of July, but to pay tribute to our military.
Well, I've said before, it's one thing when we see the modern day fighter jet, we know what those things can do. And Johnny and I don't live; we only live a stone's throw from one another. The other day, a couple of them flew over the neighborhood, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, it doesn't happen too often, but seeing them on the beach, they go. But seeing those giant, like the C-17s and whatnot, I sometimes marvel, like, how do you stay in the air?
Yeah.
You know, and when they're flying against the wind too, some of those old ones, but they're chugging along,
which is part of the logistical problem. Those F-16s have to go faster, and so when they get to us in the upper part of the Grand Strand and toward the middle, you've got listeners in the Grand Strand.
Sure.
Up there, they're fairly close. When you get down to below Charleston and on into Hilton Head, there's a gap there because of the pace at which they fly.
Right.
We got some good news this year, weather permitting. The C-17 is going to fly Lake Murray.
Oh, cool.
And it's going to fly it before the coast, so 10:30, 11:30-ish.
Okay.
And then 2 F-16s are going to fly Lake Murray after they go down the coast. So they'll be around Lake Murray at, not exact, but 2 o'clock, 2:15.
Okay.
2:20.
So we get a double salute from the
double
shore. We
salute,
get an
yeah.
Atlantic Ocean and a Lake Murray.
So the people on Lake Murray will have an opportunity to participate as well.
Excellent. And again, all you're asking is wave some flags, take some pictures, post them on your favorite
we'll go to our
social
website.
media.
The website's salutefromtheshore.org.
Okay.
And there's an opportunity there to post your photos and write up remembrances and all, and write up tributes. We're particularly interested in stories from families
Yep.
who have loved ones in the military and would really wish that they would take these tributes and send them out to their family members wherever they may be, deployed or not.
Right. And so for those that are going to be heading to the beach, which is a lot of people listening, or if you're already down there, it flies north to south.
North to south. They rendezvous at the North Carolina-South Carolina line at 1 o'clock p.m., 4th of July, and obviously the F-16s go first. The warbirds are a little faster than the rest.
Feels like it takes them about 15 minutes.
Right. And then on their tail is the C-17,
Right.
and then immediately thereafter, the vintage World War II aircraft. And I've got to say, for the World War II aircraft, weather permitting,
Right.
that's always an issue. They don't have the capabilities that the military aircraft have.
Well, congrats on 15 years.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you in 1 week's time. Very excited about that. Salutefromtheshore.org. He's Johnny Folsom. All you got to do, wave the flag, say happy birthday, America, and give them a big salute for all they do for us every day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank
Always
you for having
appreciate
me, Jay.
you. You bet.
Much appreciated.
Hour 3 of the postgame show's coming up. AAA Heating and Air. It's been hot, y'all. Like I said yesterday, 100 degrees. Today, it's a breezy, almost comfortable 88 right now in downtown Columbia. No, it's still really, really hot. If it's time for you to get a new system, you need to call Roy and Dana Finley and their crew at AAA Heating and Air. And 2024 is a great time. Why? Do you ask? Well, I'm glad you did. Here's why. Because 12 months, no payments or interest, 15-year parts and labor guarantee, guaranteed financing, and a $1,500 system buyback rebate. So if you've been thinking about it, you say, well, I don't know if I can afford that right now. You can, and you'll get a decade and a half worth of complete confidence in what they're going to give you. That's how Roy and Dana feel about their service. They've done great work at my house. They've done work at Bill Gunner's house, and they'll do it for you as well. So whether it's a quick repair or whether it's a brand new system, call AAAtoday.com is the website. Get a free quote or call them up, 803-677-1500. Tell them Jay Phillips sent you to AAA Heating and Air.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. With a few accidents to get to, they're causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We got a few of them here in Richland County. We'll start with one on Veterans Road near Garner's Ferry Road. We got one on Shop Road at Pineview Drive, one on River Drive at Anthony. Got another one on Killian Road at Highway 555 and Farrow Road. Got another one on I-20 westbound at Monticello Road near exit 68. Got one on Gadsden Street near Laurel Street. That's a newer one, as well as one on Flora Drive near Dale Valley Road. Lastly, in Lexington County, we have an accident at Highway 6 at Bush River Road.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Thursday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the post-game show. He's Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Thank you so much for being with us. Start with some Gamecock baseball recruiting news. South Carolina today, according to our good friend Jack Veltri, picking up a young man from Campbell. His name is, and I hope we get it right, Charlie Melio. I think that's how we're going to say it. We're going to give him the nice official Italian pronunciation until Jack or someone else tells us otherwise. But Charlie, as a freshman this past season, hit .275, had an OPS of .874, 9 homers, 28 runs driven in, 43 overall starts, mostly at third base. Also started 15 games at shortstop, and he was a CAA All-Rookie Team award winner this year. He's also a big kid, 6'4", 215. He's from New Jersey, has 3 years of eligibility remaining, so a quality pickup. Campbell's seen a lot of guys enter the portal. Their head coach becoming the new head coach at Ohio State last week. So, Charlie, I hope we're getting your name right, buddy. And if we're not, somebody will holler at me at some point in time.
We're going to know. We'll know eventually.
If Jack or John Whittle are listening right now, let me know.
Save us.
You know, save me from myself.
We are broadcast professionals.
That's right. I make mistakes.
We do.
I do.
Everybody has those days.
You know. NBA draft last night. France well represented in the top 6 of the draft. Zachary Risacher goes to the Atlanta Hawks with the overall number 1 pick. Alex Sarr, number 2 to Washington. And Tijan Salyoun. I hope it's Salon?
Salyoun might be right.
Salyoun. They got the 2 things over the U, but there's an A in front of it, so I don't know. It's French, man.
I don't speak it.
I am sounding like such a just moronic American right now.
Like referring to a croissant as a crescent roll.
A crescent roll, man.
That's a crescent roll, dude.
I love them crescents.
That's what you make with the pigs in blanket.
They are good.
It's fantastic.
They are good.
Easy to make.
Reed Shepherd.
Staple.
Reed Shepherd of Kentucky goes number 3 overall. Stephon Castle of Connecticut 4th. Ron Holland of the G League. I don't like this, okay? By the way, I'm glad that even though we're not, I always say we're not supposed to editorialize during the newscast portion of the show.
Well, that's
and
our
yet
show.
Every bleeping day we do.
Yes.
He plays for G League Ignite. You own the G League. Again, the G League should be the minor league. This is where you stash people. You don't draft them out of the G League.
Well, it is. I mean, that's the spare team. Everybody has their own affiliate.
Right,
but there's a team full of.
But you're getting drafted, so everybody else has been drafted? So this is the only team that you can draft from?
Yeah, correct.
I don't like that anyway. You shouldn't be able to draft a G League player. You either draft a high school kid, and they don't let you do that yet, but you should be able to.
Should.
And again, you want to stash them in the minors, baseball, hockey. I mean, you can draft a kid from France who's been playing at an academy. It's the same as a high school, right?
Which is why playing overseas for a year is probably the better option.
Yeah, it is.
Because there are good coaches in the G League, but Ron Holland was #1 player in the country, or one of the top 3 players in the country coming out of high school. I think he probably, I don't think he hurt his draft stock. He got taken 5th, but he did not play particularly well at times during the G League season. And you get better experience playing against.
Has Detroit even hired a head coach?
They have not.
I didn't think so. Welcome to Detroit.
Would you like to ask why they were 14-68 this past year?
Yeah.
Why this franchise is where it is?
Yeah.
This is a good microcosm of that.
Zach Edey goes to the Grizz at 9. Grizz have some talent, man. If they could just get it to kind of all come together, that could be a team. Unfortunately for them, they play in the West.
Oh, I had a field day looking up tweets of friends who were dumping all over Zach Edey, because a lot of my friends that are Vols fans are Grizzlies fans as well, dumping all over Zach Edey. He's just good because he's tall. Hope, he's not going to be he's not an NBA player, all this type of stuff. I saved those tweets because I think Zach Edey will be on an NBA roster.
You're keeping receipts.
I've been keeping them,
Look at you.
because I was like, incorrect take. Yes, he is very large. He will never be an all-star. This guy will play in the NBA for a while. And I made sure to post
He's a really good player. And you and I were talking about watching him. I mean, I know it's practice with nobody guarding him, but you know what? It's hard to guard him. But he was nailing 3-pointers, man.
And you know why he didn't shoot any threes at Purdue?
Probably because Matt Painter wouldn't let him.
Because he didn't have to.
Yeah.
He's already scoring 25 points a game.
That's
and
true.
You're already the best player in college basketball. If you have an unstoppable move to go over your left shoulder, why stop doing it for something you haven't fully developed? Which, I don't want to say it's selfish of Matt Painter, but Matt Painter is putting him on the block because why the hell else would you do anything else if you're scoring 25 a game already?
And Zach Edey will be part of that Canadian team, and they're going to be good.
Yeah, and they got SGA.
Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished 2nd in MVP voting. Canada's going to be pretty good. Their Olympic team's going to be really solid. I wouldn't sleep on them.
I mean,
The competition around the United States is getting better. So the dominance, I don't think, is going to be – it's not going to be as easy.
I'm here for the day when America is taking it seriously, which they are.
Because their roster's pretty
and it's something to be concerned about when Canada, France, Spain. Like in a few years, France – if a lot of this develops, I mean, you can't bring Tony Parker back in time, but,
But you know what they do with Tony Parker? They don't clone him, but he does own the team that Zachary Arisa-Shea played pro ball with, so he helps develop them and get them ready for the NBA. It's scary because 3 of the top 6 were from France, and they're good enough now to play. There's a couple of active players in the NBA who did not make the French national team. Usually, those countries, all of their players that play in the NBA make the team.
Yeah.
But now there are so many of them.
That's a quality sign, man.
Killian Hayes, who was the number 7 overall pick in 2020, didn't make the final roster for the French national team.
If his name had been Kylian Mbappe, he would have.
He would, especially if they were playing soccer.
That's right. Dalton Connect, your boy, goes number 17 to the Lakers. Why did Dalton Connect fall out of the top 10 when everybody had him projected there from a talent perspective?
Because apparently NBA GMs look at 23-year-old draft prospects as 45-year-olds and don't think they can play basketball, I guess. I don't know why. That is an incredibly dumb reason to not draft a player who can help you right away. He was the SEC Player of the Year for a reason because he's a walking bucket at all 3 levels and a 40+% three-point shooter. As a Laker fan, I'm not
SEC
Pretty
SEC
excited.
Player of the Year, All-American, Wooden finalist.
Finished 2nd in Wooden.
Yeah. And you tell me, I know that's your favorite team and you follow the league. I don't know if he starts right away. I mean, I don't know if he comes off the bench and provides that spot-up shooting and he plays late. That all depends on how other things shake out in free agency with L.A. I understand that. But, we mentioned this briefly a little while ago, the new head coach of the Lakers is one of your better career spot-up shooters from outside. So you've got to imagine that not only would he like to incorporate that into a team he coaches, but like to find guys that fit the mold. It would seem like Connect is that. And Connect, when you wanted to, I mean, he's a big boy. I'm not saying he's going to get down there and bang with people all the time, but if you needed him to get down low and play inside out, he can do a little of that.
Yeah, and
he's a great player.
And he finishes through contact pretty well. He's got good explosive athleticism. He's really long. I think they're going to be able to bring him off the bench, and he can be a guy that can get you 10 to 15 at any given point of the season, which is something that they have really, really lacked. That whenever they have to dig into their bench, that's usually where the wheels fall off. So he's going to be a very useful player for them right away. And a lot of these guys that were taken last night are 19, 20 years old. There's going to be some real learning pains that they're going to have to go through in order to be successful. They're not going to be good right away. So the fact that it did take 7 or 16 teams to pass on them before falling in the lap of a playoff team was pretty surprising.
Yeah. One other French guy got taken last night, 25 overall, Pacome Dadier to the Knicks. And then right behind him, Dylan Jones got picked by the Washington Wizards. He went to Keenan until his junior year and then transferred out to Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas, played his college ball at Weber State. So congratulations to Columbia's Dylan Jones, number 26 overall last night.
Pretty cool.
In the NBA draft, yeah. And again, the Hornets, I think we mentioned this, took Tijan Salon. That's how I'm going to say it. He can change his name.
That sounds better.
At number 6
he can change
overall.
His name. If he does not like it, that's his name now.
Hornets, what would they do last year? 20-something?
21-61. Yeah. Not good. They're the Chicago White Sox. Same record.
Yeah. Did they want to get better?
You know, after last night, I questioned that because you had Donovan Clingan, 2-time college national champion.
Went right behind him.
Rim protector.
Yeah.
Who I think is the best center in this class, who would start for you right away, and they passed him.
I just feel like the Hornets always seem to be, yeah.
It's a disease.
It always seems like they're, we're building for the future. It's like you're always in the rebuild mode. Like you can't get yourself out of it. It's just it's like a bad record. You know, it just loops around of, well, we're in rebuild mode. At what point do you want to be in win now mode?
At some point, you got to finish the rebuild.
Yeah,
you have to build something.
Gee, that's a fair point to say. Charlotte sports. Obviously, the second round is all about Bronny, and I don't think he's been taken yet. I'll double check while we're sitting here live on the air, but I don't believe Bronny James has been taken.
Nope.
No, he has not. There's obviously the feeling that he would be taken by L.A., but do they have a second-round pick, Elijah?
They do, and it's like 55.
Okay. Gee, yeah, there it is. Okay, yeah, pick 55.
The Boston Celtics pick ahead of them. Yeah, right. And the Celtics could do the funniest thing.
I mean, that they're going to take. So
they could do the funniest.
But does anybody else here? So serious question. Does anybody else want Bronny James for real? I mean, I'm not knocking Bronny. Again, too much of the hype has been placed upon him by others. Mm-hmm. And again, his name could be anything else, and he's not even being sniffed right now, and he definitely doesn't leave college. But we know why he did. And look, we know that part of his lack of production in college is because of the heart scare, and he really just couldn't do anything last year, anything meaningful. Right. And by the time he could, you almost want to say it was too late to really make a difference in terms of how the team was playing.
They were really bad.
Yeah. And he's got a good, he had a good coach in college who's not going to just suddenly disrupt the team no matter what. And I imagine that Bronny and LeBron and everybody knew that. And, of course, now Coach Enfield's gone to SMU and Bronny left college and doesn't matter anymore. But, I don't know what a full season would have looked like. I mean, he's a good basketball
athlete,
player.
Good and a good basketball player. But if his name was Bronny Phillips, he's a good basketball player who's getting ready for his sophomore season at the University of Southern California.
Yeah. It just seems kind of that easy.
And apparently, this is from about 7 minutes ago. NBA on ESPN tweeted this. It's a quote from Bob Myers that he just apparently said on the broadcast, former Golden State Warriors GM. Rich Paul, Bronny's agent, because it's LeBron's agent, is calling teams saying, don't take Bronny James. If you take him, he's going to Australia.
So they're just waiting for the number 55 pick to come around.
Yes.
But again, are people hanging up the phone going, y'all, guess what? Rich Paul just called and he said for us not to take Bronny.
That is so dumb.
That's what I'm picturing, right? It's just a room full of laughter.
Yeah. I go, fine, we won't take him then.
And it's
at
not about.
35.
And again, it sounds mean because it sounds like we're picking on Bronny, and
Which is unfortunate.
I'm not.
It's not. None of this
It's
is
not
fair to him
fair
at all.
Yeah, it's just not fair to him.
No. That this is put on him because
no.
by all accounts, he is a fantastic kid. He understands his
yeah.
role. He didn't make a fuss about not starting
Right.
at Southern Cal.
Right.
That he assimilated. He just wants to play basketball. That's it.
Well,
And this is kind of what comes
good
with
luck to him. It's a burden that he didn't ask for.
it. Yep.
And I do. I hope it works out because there's so many bleeping cynics in this country that'll just be like, "Told you he wasn't any good."
Yep.
It's like, all right, dude, but who's the one that said he was good to begin with? Not him.
Yeah.
He's just out there trying to do what kids do. That's the integrated media headlines of the day. 803-948-8327 for all your home entertainment, home security needs, and so much more. No job too big, no job too small for integrated media. Upgrade the family room with the latest in technology. Start from the ground up, indoors, outdoors. 803-948-8327. Our good friends at Integrated Media. More Gamecock news for you and more on Jim Schlossnagle to Texas as the postgame show rolls on. 20 minutes after 5 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you. Braves in Chicago, a makeup game from earlier this season. It's 1-0 White Sox right now. Braves have 1 on, 1 out, top of the 5th. Keep you updated on that. Braves back home this weekend against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Breaking news, a jury in Los Angeles has ruled just a little while ago. In fact, this comes down at 5:01 Eastern Time that the NFL violated antitrust law in distributing out-of-market Sunday afternoon games on a premium subscription service, that's Sunday Ticket, and has awarded more than $4.7 billion in damages. They ordered the league to pay that amount to the residential class, $96 million in damages to the commercial class. You'll be surprised to learn that the NFL says it will appeal this verdict. Quote, "We are disappointed with the jury's verdict today in the NFL Sunday Ticket class action lawsuit. We continue to believe that our media distribution strategy, which features all NFL games broadcast on free over-the-air television in the markets of the participating teams, and national distribution of our most popular games, supplemented by many additional choices, including Red Zone, Sunday Ticket, and NFL Plus, is by far the most fan-friendly distribution model in all of sports and entertainment. We will certainly contest this decision, as we believe the class action claims in this case are baseless and without merit. We thank the jury for their time and service, and for the guidance and oversight from Judge Gutierrez throughout the trial. We thank you for
really
this.
screwing us here.
You didn't do jack squat for us, but hey, thanks.
It's a nice way of saying thanks. For
So
nothing.
a whole, look, I have Red Zone. I've never truly been interested in Sunday Ticket, and a lot of people that know
because Red Zone's better.
Yeah, well, it is, but even before the advent of Red Zone, Sunday Ticket's been around. For a longest time, Sunday Ticket was only available if you had DirecTV, and I was never going to get a satellite dish. Nothing against people that do, but I went to too many buddies' houses that had them, and as soon as it clouded over, I was like, this sucks. I got mad a couple of times. It's like, I'm here to watch a game, man. And yeah, sometimes when it rains, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. I digress. I love Red Zone. I joke sometimes, small joke, that Red Zone is right there with like the wheel, the printing press, and the computer is some of the finest things ever invented.
Right there with it.
But
it's better.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Red Zone's
short.
awesome, man. Red Zone is awesome. But as a Broncos fan, even I love Denver, but I was not going to buy DirecTV and get Sunday Ticket for another $200 a month or $200 a year or whatever it is. I can keep up, and half the Broncos games are on where I'm going to see them anyway. At least when they were good.
Now, do you want to watch them?
Well, now with Red Zone, I'm like, hey, well, the Broncos are in line to kick a few. Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, I'll take you out to Denver. You're like, oh boy, my favorite team's about to score. They're in the red zone on Red Zone, and it's a 99.
Oh, it's an incomplete pass. So anyway. I know people that have it and people that like it. And, if you really are that interested in watching an out-of-market team.
Good for restaurants.
Yeah, and that's the weird part. $4.7 billion for residential class, but only $96 million for restaurants. They deliberated 5 hours today. And according to the plaintiff's attorney, it said this case transcends football. This case matters. It's about justice. It's about telling the 32 team owners who collectively own all the big TV rights, the most popular content in the history of TV, that's what they have. It's about telling them that even you can't ignore antitrust law. Even you cannot collude to overcharge consumers. Even you can't hide the truth and think that you're going to get away with it. The league has said all along that it had the right to do this because of its exemption. It has an antitrust exemption for broadcasting, but the plaintiffs have said that it only covered over-the-air broadcasts, not cable or anything else. Look, when there's a class action like this, a bunch of lawyers are going to make a lot of money regardless. And what's going to end up happening is that if you, and I don't know this for sure, but this is how it works typically, right? Like if you were a subscriber, you're probably going to get next year free. They'll have a settlement with something like that. You're not. I mean, they're not going to send you. You know, if you spent $5,000 over the course of the life of Sunday Ticket, you ain't getting $5,000.
No.
You know, $5,000 and walking through that door. But maybe you get a couple of years of free Sunday Ticket, and now Sunday Ticket's available.
Multi-platform.
You can just get it, right?
Yeah. You can even access it on NFL Plus, the app, I believe.
Just get Red Zone.
It's better. Anyway.
Just get Red Zone.
And this is cool and all. It's, an interesting ruling. But can we do something about Major League Baseball? Like, can we do that next? About how I can't watch a Cincinnati Reds game in this market when I'm 7 hours away.
Do they have? What do you have to get for? They have what do they call theirs?
Bally. I have to have a Bally package and get.
Wait,
Bally,
baseball
Ohio.
doesn't have one of these? I thought baseball had.
Oh, it still blacks it out. Yeah, if I can get the Major League Baseball equivalent to Sunday Ticket,
right,
and it's still like MLB TV is what it's called.
Yeah,
still cannot watch in market teams, and they consider Cincinnati in market. So I can't watch Braves games, can't watch Cardinals or Reds.
That's what?
Because on ESPN Plus, I tried to watch when the Reds were on because they're not on here. And I clicked it, said, this is not available in your area. Blackout rules. Cincinnati is a 7.5 hour drive from here.
Like the NFL
close.
rules, like 100 miles, right? 150 miles or something.
And I read, I had a friend of mine whose dad commented on my tweet. I tweeted about it because I was like, this is BS, and I'm going to break something. I was mad. But I had a buddy of mine whose dad commented, said, yeah, it's apparently an old, like a very antiquated rule about like radio reach. And if you had like AM radio reach to your spot.
Oh, man. Well, hey, listen, at night, like, I remember driving home from Florida one time, listening to the St. Louis Cardinals on the St. Louis radio station on an AM, and I'm in North Florida on I-95.
Yeah.
So that's not fair.
At all. Since like to drive from here to Great American Ballpark would be 7.5 hours. And it's too close, blacked out in this market.
Yeah, that's dumb. By the way, this lawsuit, this NFL lawsuit was originally filed. I just want to bring this up by a sports bar in San Francisco called the Mucky Duck. That just sounds up. I just wanted to say that.
That sounds like a place I would like to.
Yeah, that just sounds fun, man.
You want to go to the Mucky Duck?
Yeah, it almost sounds like a made-up place on a sitcom. Yeah. It does. That sounds cool.
The Mucky
Duck. Wow, I didn't realize DirecTV started Sunday Ticket. Dang. If you would ask me, I would have said, I don't know, like around like 2002, 4, 5.
That'd be my guess, yeah.
1994.
Sunday Ticket's older than me.
1994 is when Sunday Ticket started.
Oh.
Wow. I didn't know it was that long.
I didn't know Sunday Ticket and I were peers.
Yeah, how about that?
Good Lord. We went to high school together.
Not looking so good these days.
Oh, man. I haven't been sued for $4.7 billion, so.
Drive around the SEC on the other side of the break. More on what Jim Schlossnagle is going to make as Texas coach and what Texas did to get him out of College Station. Plus, we'll recap that Gamecock baseball transfer news for you as the postgame show continues. Been telling you for a while about my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. My wife and I have been members at Palmetto Citizens for a few years now, and they've had members across the Midlands since 1936. And you may say, well, what's the big difference in a federal credit union and a bank? Well, one of the biggest differences is federal credit unions are not for profit. So as earnings come into the organization, they are returned to members as lower rates and fewer fees when you're borrowing money or using all your regular services, checking, savings, credit cards, car loans. You can do all of that for less And Home Equity Line is a great way to tap into what you've already built up in your home to fix things up, modernize it, maybe expand a little bit. And with a 10-year draw period, Palmetto Citizens lets you access that cash as you need it. You're not paying interest on one big home equity loan and say, well, I don't need all this money. Go check them out. Learn more, palmettocitizens.org. 14 locations across the Midlands. Achieve your potential at Palmetto Citizens.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you here that are causing some issues on the roadways this afternoon. We'll start here in Richland County. An accident on River Drive at Anthony's causing some issues, as well as one on Shop Road at Pineview Drive. That one's been causing some problems for a little over an hour now. We have another one on Gadsden Street near Laurel Street, and lastly one on Flora Drive near Dale Valley Road. In Lexington County, we have two accidents that are causing traffic back up, one on Highway 1 at Augusta Road at Laurel Road, and the other one is at US 378 at North 12th Street.
It is Drive Around the SEC time. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. And as you can imagine, the A&M and Texas baseball saga continues to dominate conference storylines. The Austin American-Statesman has put out its top half dozen potential replacements, top of their list. I don't know how they kind of go about this. It's not alphabetical, let's put it that way. But the top of their list is a guy we mentioned yesterday, Nick Mingione at Kentucky. He actually, according to this, they thought about I guess I don't know if they've contacted him or not, but basically this is somebody that's going to get a look. And you and I talked about that. Like, hey, you got the money to pay a buyout. And if the buyout's around $3 million, then go ahead and do it. For what it's worth, before I come back to this, that's what Texas is paying Texas A&M for Jim Schlossnagle, $3 million. It was $1.5 million. It was basically going to be whatever Jim was owed for a year. If he'd gone to any other school, he'd have owed A&M whatever, that the next year's salary. But it was double if and only if he went to Texas, and Texas is going to pay that. Elijah and I, did the math on it, and basically, this is back when Carolina was doing a search, and we didn't think Nick Mingione was really a candidate for South Carolina, but just young up and comer, what kind of contracts? Because we were sort of comparing what his contract is like to probably give or take what a Tom Walter or a Chris Pollard were looking at, and we aren't privy to those men's contracts because they're at Wake and Duke, private schools. But Mingione's at a public school, and again, give or take, his buyout was about $3 million. It was about what was left on his new contract. I think that's a good one. Now, they've got Eric Bakich on their list, but by all accounts, Eric Bakich is going to remain at Clemson. I don't know if that's a done deal yet.
Kendall Rogers said, it's pretty close to done.
And I saw, again, coming back around to watching the D1 podcast that they did today, that's it. Yeah, it's all but done that Eric Bakich is going to stay at Clemson. Graham Neff's going to know that his guy, he's played for a national title. Yeah, they got upset at home by Florida. Just
upset in air quotes, just because Florida achieved most of the year.
My biggest advice to Eric Bakich is, as much as you may love your former boss, he's out of the dugout next season. Now you can't have that happen, man.
That was a bad look.
You can't have that happen. Sorry. You just can't.
What a way to end a season.
Yeah, you can't like Jack, stop. Just because you're wearing the pants doesn't mean. Like, let's just say if Jack had been wearing khakis, would he have run out on the field?
Well, because then,
because they remember he wasn't wearing a jersey. He was wearing a purple shirt, but it wasn't a full-on Clemson jersey because he's not really an assistant, but he had on baseball pants.
You can still get thrown out like you are an assistant. And I think we've learned that one the hard way.
Mark Wasikowski is Oregon's baseball coach, very successful. They are 156 and 83. He was at Purdue for 3 seasons before he moved out to Eugene. They actually played A&M in College Station. They've got Dan Hefner of Dallas Baptist on their list. And they are right to say that this is probably a fallback, but I think that dude would take the job.
That's a good fallback.
Yeah.
If that's your fallback, then you're pretty loaded with options.
He's been there since 2007. That was their third year in D1. They have been since he took over, they've been to the tournament 13 times. 13 times. They've won at least 40 games in 9 of the last 10 full seasons. And in the last 2 years, they're 92 and 31. So he's really good at what he does. And if you can take that level of coaching and apply it to the type of talent that you'll be able to get at Texas A&M, you could certainly figure they'd be back in the College World Series on a pretty routine basis. They've got Cliff Godwin on the list. Again, I'm not saying Texas A&M can't go get him. I mean, I don't know. A lot of us, kind of heard that maybe Ray had zeroed in on Cliff as really target one. Cliff didn't want to leave East Carolina. Felt like the only job he wanted to leave for was LSU and potentially would replace Mike Bianco if Mike leaves Ole Miss. We know he's good. We know he's got a heck of a resume. A&M can tempt you with more money than just about anybody. And, again, money can matter.
Certainly.
It can.
Especially if it doubles what you're making now.
I mean, he's only making $600,000. I mean, they were paying Schloss 1.5. And they were ready, I'm sure they were ready to take Schloss well over $2 million.
If you're making $600K and someone's like, hey, I can give you two
and a half,
two and a half
times
million.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't know how you say no.
And then they finally have Tony Vitello on the list. I think that's more of a pipe dream kind of thing. Again, Vitello's not leaving Tennessee for Texas A&M. I just don't see that.
For the team he beat in the national
championship. I just don't see that. Like I said, I could have, before we all knew what went down and how it went down, even if they say it didn't, I could have seen Vitello leaving Tennessee for Texas because of the prestige of the Texas job. Interestingly enough, Kendall and those guys today and Aaron were asked by Mike Rooney on the podcast, which is the better job, and they kind of called it a wash. When you I guess you look at the more recent history, A&M's been better. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in a longer historical sense, Texas is better, but that surprised me a little bit.
It kind of makes sense. They haven't won a championship since 2005. Yeah. Texas hasn't.
One of the things Kendall said, based in Texas, he said, hey, listen, I go to a bunch of games at both places. And he said, and I'll just paraphrase, but he said, listen, the super regional environment, especially this past year, relative to some super regional environments, and I forget what Texas's baseball field is called, but he said it's very different. He said at Texas, it's an expectation, and a lot of times it's just not as vibrant. Yeah. And maybe, but I think appreciation can be shown through a lively atmosphere.
Yeah.
Whereas he said at A&M, he said, man, I mean, everything was electric. That makes a difference.
It certainly does.
You know, I mean, that's a thing. How much of a thing? It depends on you, but in terms of just, it's like, look, they have an expectation at Texas, and when it's not met, they're like, eh. And then when it is met, they're like, eh. That's kind of what he said.
Hard to please.
Yeah. I was like, what, the only way to really please him is to go win the World Series. And you don't do that in your home ballpark. You got to get there.
It's not that way anymore. And maybe like 20 years ago, when the talent wasn't spread around as much, when the SEC wasn't as invested, it's probably easier to win a national championship pretty frequently. Can't do that anymore. So you got to curb your expectation a little bit. College baseball is a lot different now.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I just, Nick Mingione, just that key. You and I have been there we've been talking this for 3 days, and he just seems to make the most sense.
Certainly.
Again, get somebody in the conference. Now you could get somebody that just got to Omaha. So there's that knowledge. The buyout, that's easy. And the raise, that's easy. That's just, does he want to go? I mean, I just, that almost makes too much sense. That's why it won't happen probably. But that'd be a fine choice, in my personal opinion. That's a drive around the SEC on this Thursday, brought to you by Herndon Chevy, your hometown Chevy dealer. Stop by the showroom, see why Herndon makes you smile. While you're there, you can save $20,000 on a new Silverado. Herndon, together, let's drive. We'll update the poll question for you on the other side of the break as the postgame show continues. 12 minutes in front of 6 o'clock on this Thursday. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the postgame show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios. We've thrown out a poll question for you today. Let me pull up the latest results. It was a flash poll that Elijah and I threw out during the 4 o'clock hour. Which American team, men's and women's, so it's a sport thing, I suppose, do you pull hardest for in international competition? Basketball, soccer, swimming, track and field. Right now, really close between soccer and swimming. Soccer at 34.2%, swimming 32.9%, basketball 21.1%, track and field 11.8%. And if you had another sport, I said leave a reply. One guy said rugby, one guy said cricket. Another Benjamin weighed in, hockey, if winter sports are included. Yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. I love Olympic hockey. In fact, I was telling Elijah, and this is based on my age and where I'm from, Olympic hockey to me is like the best. I'll watch some playoff hockey. I do not follow the NHL. I freely admit that. But I will watch, like, the Czechs play the Germans and watch all 3 periods in the Olympics. Certainly America or Canada
Right.
or Sweden or Finland, I mean, there's your big 4, and Russia, but they don't get to play anymore.
Why is that?
I can't. I don't know. I think they stole somebody's skates or something. I don't know.
It had to have been
Something.
being a jerk.
Something like that. I'm always surprised that the Germans aren't
Totally
better,
not
but I just think they just would rather play soccer. That's all.
Yeah, they're getting better.
Yeah, they're pretty good. But I mean, am I right in saying your big 4 are
certainly
Canada, America, Sweden, Finland? They're all better than you.
Czech Republic occasionally.
Czechs are good, man.
Czechs are occasionally pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll roll out a decent team.
The Swiss have had a team or two every once in a while. I've seen even.
Every now and then.
Yeah.
They have a couple stars. One real main star in the NHL. But
I don't know if Finland's won a gold medal. Sweden has got a gold medal. Canada's got multiple gold medals. America
Canada gets a lot.
Well, Canada's, that's what Canada does.
The Sidney Crosby goal in the 2010 Winter Olympics
I think so.
was
I just remember how hard, like America,
a gut punch.
America, Canada 2002. I remember that one was a tough one.
Yeah.
That 2010, we were airing that. We were that was
Really?
we were airing
That one hurt.
That did, man.
That one hurt bad.
Yeah.
I've hated Sidney Crosby ever since.
Oh.
To be honest, I hated him before. So now it was amplified after that.
And I got something funny here from Jason. We were talking earlier about the NFL, at least today, losing its lawsuit. Now they'll appeal, but a $4.7 billion verdict in the Sunday Ticket lawsuit. But Elijah and I just said, go ahead and just get Red Zone. It's cheaper and it's better. Jason says Red Zone is great for Dramamine sales. # queasy. I guess he just means it's
They're going back and
so
forth.
constantly back and forth. And sometimes it's the triple box. Sometimes it's the quad box. And I don't know. I mean,
They're not literally taking you to that. When Scott Hansen says, let's take you out to Cleveland for Browns 49ers, he's not literally taking you out there.
No.
So it's less motion than you might think.
When does Scott Hansen get a bathroom break? That's my question.
He answered that on an interview once, and so he says sometimes he pushes it. Sometimes they'll take it out to a game for a second, and he'll run, come back.
Yeah. I guess maybe the director will tell him. And I've always noticed that the director's last name is Hansen. I don't know if they're related or not, but he mentions him sometimes. They'll be like, all right, I'm getting ready to have an 84-second window. Go.
Has to. That has to.
Right.
Like that. Like that's how that conversation has to go.
But I do like Red Zone. So
It's the best.
yeah, America getting ready to play Panama in just a few minutes in the Copa America. But they brought that up because there is so much international competition this summer between 2 major soccer tournaments and the Olympics that start in about a month over in France. But America just doesn't. Elijah and I were talking, you see some of these scenes, not just of Germans, but so many European fan bases that are in Germany for the European Championships this year. And it's just crazy. There were some gathering parties for America in the 14 World Cup. You mentioned that. And I saw a few
I fondest.
in the last World Cup.
Yeah, soccer memory.
But you know, and that's cool. I'm glad we do that. But I don't know that a nation of this size really like gets behind it in the way that other nations do. Again, that's not, I'm not faulting anyone. But like we don't have like a, you know, a 5,000 person gathering at city parks for Olympic basketball. And that'd be kind of fun. You know,
especially because they kick so much ass. Like, that'd be even more fun to enjoy it with a bunch of people. Just
so again, it's not really. I'm not lamenting it. It's just, I wish America did that for stuff. Yeah, and we just don't seem to. Because again, with baseball, it's like, and there is no international football competition. And if there were, I mean, it would
not a legit one.
It would not be. Yeah.
Well, I mean, flag football is about to be an Olympic sport. So, watching it, you know.
It's going to be next time, right?
I think so. Yeah. It's not this one.
If they will let, you know, real quality NFL dudes play,
I want to see the bloodbath.
That'll be fun.
It'll be fun to watch them.
I mean, I'm here
Brazil,
for that.
77-0.
Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
But at the same time, you know, like. So many Brazilians that are amazing athletes and obviously all grow up wanting to be soccer players. It's like I say about America. Like if you would give me 10%, take American sport in the youth system as it is today, okay, all across the country. Give me 10% of shortstops, center fielders, two guards, free safeties, slot receivers. You know, just give me 10% of them. You keep 90% of them. Give me 10% and put them into the pool to build a soccer team. I'll give you a world champion. You give Brazil 10% of the soccer players and say, I want you to learn how to play flag football. And they might be really bleeping good, man.
They could be good.
Would they beat America? Probably not.
Still having to go one-on-one versus Justin Jefferson would be really fun to watch.
But it's such a big country. They got so many people to work with.
It's massive.
Yeah. I'm out for a little bit. Y'all have a great 4th. Elijah's going to carry you for a few days here. Happy birthday, America. See you soon.
Not literally.